Okay, so I wanted to do a third and fourth video showing how the program can deal with slightly more complicated scenarios. This is the Brook Universal Fight Board with the UP5 attachment on the one-player side, and it is the Brook Universal Fight Board Fusion on the right-hand side. This is the PS5 version. I should also mention it's direct capture. This is the video interrupt method. It's running without input delay reduction on. So input delay reduction is off, so the values that come out will be pretty slow. The reason for this is with IDR on through a 1080p 60 capture display, you'll get screen tearing, and that's not what we're looking for, and that can confuse the results. So the numbers will be quite slow, but that's fine, because all we're looking to do is to compare the two boards, and so then the difference between them is still meaningful. So first thing we do is we use this screen to look for our green line, so the time where the video interrupt occurs. We found it there. We skip ahead, so I've set it to 12 frames because I know that's how frequently my video interrupt will happen. To point out, as per before, the inputs are on for 6 frames, so 100 milliseconds, off for 6 frames, 100 milliseconds, plus a millisecond, so that it kind of loops cleanly each time. The video interrupt signal is only there for the first 50 milliseconds of the input. So just so that it's a thin, easily identifiable line, and it doesn't take up too much of the screen with kind of decolored or green. Once you've found your first and your second line, you can tell it to kind of scan ahead. It uses the difference in time between the first and the second and just applies that across. It has seemed to find about 509 results. It should be about right for a touch over a 1 minute 40 video at kind of 5 samples per second. So we skip ahead to that one. You'll see, because we only use the delta between the first and the second, any even pixel difference can result in quite 500 times that difference by the end. So then we just kind of tell it where we found it, and then we should be able to scan through and find that now the lines all match up pretty closely. And if we go back to the beginning, that indeed seems to be the case. So having done that, so our first one was at the kind of 6 frame mark, and so we start looking for any results after that. Same thing, if we left click in the left screen, you'll see that this is where it starts. We can scroll up, so it's quite a light background here, so the red, blue and green levels are quite high. And that's, actually that might not be where we came from. As you kind of move your cursor around, it will give you, that's no good though, the green, it'll give you what colour is underneath. Just to say you were looking for, like if you were trying to hit this black line, you could use the little box there to make sure you hit the right spot. Light background, so high levels of red, blue and green. So if we scroll up, we can set it to anything, but we'll use blue there. Any of those would give a fairly clear delineation. And now hopefully we can do the same thing with our one over here. This time it's the opposite. It's quite a bit darker, so our red, green and blue levels are low. And then when the red icon appears, then they're quite high comparatively. So, light to dark, dark to light. As we scroll up and down, the arrow dictates which direction we need to exceed in order to get a meaningful result. So I'll let this process. I'll kind of close the video in the meantime, and then when the results are here, and I'll time it to let you know how long it takes, we will kind of see how that's displayed.